Hello, I am Elif. I decided to make a video for the discussion assignment of week 10. For the first question of the discussion assignment of this week, I'll share the discussion post I created for my Canvas course. This is my course I created on Canvas. Actually, I created a discussion for Module 1, but after I read the materials for this week, I decided to improve it following the tips for quality discussion posts in the readings. I developed this post in Module 1 to create a community in my course from the very beginning of the course, as suggested in the readings. And students can go to view the post clicking menu on the left bar, or they can just click module 1 and directly go to the discussion clicking Y. And I asked my students to read an article on why students need to improve their essay writing skills. I wanted to engage my students, giving them a chance to reflect on why they are taking this course and how it will help them in their academic life. I think this discussion will help them develop a feeling of belonging, since all their peers will share their opinions and feelings in a meaningful way and in a meaningful context. Since I provided them with options to reply this post, I believe they will be more engaged. And another purpose is that writing is challenging for most students, so they need resilience and motivation. So I have always believed that if a person knows why he or she is doing something, they become more resilient and motivated, and they embrace the difficulties more. And I think this assignment also aims to increase students' awareness of their shared goals, as Charlotte Berry in the article indicated. Such an awareness may increase classroom participation, and I hope this discussion will promote social presence and cognitive presence. And the second question for this week was experimenting with one of the online meeting tools, with one of the peers from this course or with anybody you want. And we had a Zoom meeting and we talked about Microsoft Teams via Zoom with Nefika from this course. So as I said, one of my peers from this course sent me an email suggesting to meet for the second question of this assignment. And I would like to thank Nefika for bringing this idea. We had a Zoom meeting and we talked about some features of Zoom that we find practical from our own experience. And we also talked about Microsoft Teams, but we were both new to it, so we shared whatever we were able to discover right now, just for right now. And other than that, we had a long chat. Though we met for the first time, we are both from the same cultural background, so we had a lot to talk. So thank you, Dr. Jones, for providing this opportunity in this social distancing atmosphere. It was very comforting. And for the final question of this assignment, after the readings, I noticed that building a community is much more important than I thought for online learning, basically for three reasons. And these are the most important takeaways that I learned from the readings for this week. First, teaching presence. As a learner taking online courses, I need to no, my professor is always there, ready to help me and design meaningful collaborative activities. And I thank you, Dr. Johns, for doing this all the time. And I guess no learner would feel motivated to be presenting assignments that they never, to people that they never meet. And second, social and cognitive presence. And humans are created to be social, and being isolated is a burden for us, as all of us understand this very well nowadays. And I think we're socializing not only emotionally, but this is it's not something emotional only, but this is also a requirement for our cognitive development. And the readings support this, and we need to learn from each other, discuss and reflect on things together. Uh, so if online instructors can facilitate learning moments that students can work with their peers, I believe more learning will occur. For the part of the assignment that is related to our profession, I'm a language teacher, by the way. And I want to say that it's very important to create a community in an online teaching environment, because the primary purpose of learning a language is to communicate. So if you cannot create a community, you will not be convincing your students that they need to communicate, and they will not get any opportunity to communicate with their peers and teachers. And the second thing that I want to talk about is affective filter. And this is a well-known and widely accepted hypothesis. And there is an affective filter in our brains. And this is a tool located in our brains. And it functions when we learn a language, even when we first learned our native languages as a baby. This affective filter was functioning. It was there. And under stress or threatening conditions, this filter is up, and it avoids learners produce language. And I think this applies to online language learning. And if teachers cannot make their teaching presence felt, and if they cannot build a good rapport with their students, or if they cannot facilitate learning moments where students can interact and feel relaxed, this affective filter may be up, and it may avoid quality language learning and teaching. And this might be important for all teachers who have ESL certification, who have ESL learners in their classes. I think it is nice to consider this affective filter, the presence of this affective filter. And third, authentic contexts are very important in language teaching, and language teachers are expected to create authentic context so that language learning becomes meaningful for the students, and so students can engage in the learning activities. And this is only possible, I mean, creating authentic context is only possible if you can create peer interaction, if you can create activities requiring peer interaction or group work, or if students can interact with their teachers. So otherwise, students can only learn skills that we call receptive, which are reading and listening. But it is almost impossible to expect our students to produce language, and we call them productive skills. So productive skills can be improved through interactive activities. So that's why creating community in an online environment is important. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to create authentic context as a language teacher. And for the final question of this week's assignment, I have come across a lot of successful online community building practices throughout my study in UH. I'd like to give some examples from this course. First, as an example to teaching presence, I would like to thank Dr. Jones for including those videos for each module. They have been very helpful for me as a learner. And this was a teaching presence for me, and I know that you're there to help us. And as an example to social presence, I can say that this week's Zoom and Microsoft Teams assignment was kind of social presence for us as learners. And finally, as an example to cognitive presence, I want to give the blended learning module. And as you may all remember, we shared materials, articles, and peer presentations were also very helpful for me to dig deeper into the issues in blended learning. So it was a good cognitive presence example and a good community building activity from that perspective. One thing that might have been helpful for all of us is maybe a group or peer work or project throughout the course might increase community, the feeling of community. Thank you for listening.